Visionaries, season 3, intro episode 33,
Wow.
34. Don't quote me on this. I'll figure it out later.
Wow.
My brother, Timmy Arisa.
Wow.
Say hi to the people, bro.
What up, people?
He's nervous.
It is an honor to be here, bro.
Bro,
Seriously.
it's an honor to have you, man.
You are one of my favorite people.
You're one of my favorite
Genuinely.
people. Like, for
Just your heart, bro. Like,
bro, we've been live for 20 seconds. Don't make me cry right now.
dude, your consistency with this thing is insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
We're at a undisclosed location. I came all the frick way over here. Get this. This
Bro,
is
you're
important
home.
to me.
I was telling you earlier, bro, like if you haven't been here, you're not gang.
Yeah. Like
If
where
you
we're at
haven't-
right now.
Where we're at right now. If you haven't been here, we're at the church I grew up at. If you
Yeah.
haven't been here, you're not gang. You're not gang.
I'm honored, bro.
Yeah. So the fact that you're here, bro, like this is where it all started. Like this is
This is where the journey started. It's kind of
yeah.
poetic how we're doing this.
It is.
right
It
now.
is. It is.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I thought about that, I was like, God, it's actually kind of wild that we're here right now.
Yeah, man. Man, visionaries, what's going on? I haven't heard from y'all, or I haven't posted any new episodes since July. This is probably gonna air like September
Wow.
ish. So happy September for people. But I talked about John last time about potentially changing the vibe a little bit. So yeah, Timmy, I've been wanting you on since I started this thing, bro. But
Dude, we're here. We made it happen.
we made it happen.
Finally.
Bro, I kind of want to tell people the story of how we know each other, and then we'll go into
Tell the
the
story.
whole vibe.
Tell the
Can-
story.
So so I moved to Tulsa in 2020, and you're leading at Victory,
Mhm.
and I had just gone on like a random, like my dad had came, and my auntie used to go there, so I think y'all had Saturday service.
Yeah.
Bro, you were leading the heck out of the anthem, Clan of Shakers. I felt something, and I just connected with you immediately. And so
That's awesome.
this was before like COVID was a thing. This
Cool.
was like January ish, and so COVID kind of closes down a bunch of churches. I start kind of going to Victory a little bit, and you and I connect briefly. But then, like a year later,
Mhm.
you're working somewhere else, and you post on socials that you need a bass player, bro. I don't
Yeah.
even play bass like that. Like I
crazy.
play acoustic.
Yeah.
I don't know what inspired you to pick me, but you just like responded to me, and then we chopped it up, and
Yeah.
that was, man, 2021.
Either that or 2020. Yeah, because I started there September 2020. So yeah, that's crazy. We were just talking about this. I didn't realize that was the first time that we like officially met.
I feel like I
knew
know
you.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. There's like been several people that I've met online that now we've like met in person and have hung out. We were talking about a couple people
Yeah.
earlier today, but yeah, you're one of those people where we like just kind of met online and
Yeah.
just kind of became homies. Like it's crazy how that happens. You know?
Did we just become best friends?
Yeah.
Bro, I don't know if you share this sentiment, but I feel like Tulsa worship gang.
Yeah.
Like if you're in the game, like you know who's around.
Oh, for sure.
Like
Yeah.
the people know of each other.
Yeah.
I think I would say I'm a little bit more established now, at least relationships wise and influence wise. But back then I was just trying, bro. So
Yeah.
that at least spoke to me a lot about like your authenticity as a person, to like just take a chance on me just because you personally felt like you connect with me, not because I was like had a certain follower count or sang at this church or something like that. So
Yeah.
mad love, bro.
I appreciate that, man. It was you saved me that day. Like, I really needed a bass player. But, I was kind of desperate. But no, I'm super grateful that you did that.
Yeah.
And
Now we're here now.
Now we're here.
Worship bros.
Yeah.
Cooking up on the pod.
Here we go.
Now you're saving me.
Let's go. Let's go.
Bro, so I guess how this episode starts is the question I ask everyone is,
Yeah.
if you meet a stranger, they ask you what you do, how are you answering that question right now?
I'm an artist.
Facts.
That's really it. There's not really much to that.
Mhm.
Just I'm an artist, and I try to make my world and the world around me as beautiful as I can make it.
For sure.
And sometimes that's with my art. Sometimes that's with helping people with their art. and then sometimes it just looks like just being a good friend and just listening,
That's
you
true.
know. But I'm an artist. That's
I,
how I describe myself.
I would say practically what I observe from you is like writing your own music,
Yeah,
producing your own music,
yeah,
producing for other people,
yeah,
slash leading worship,
yeah,
slash modeling for fun.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So we can impact like those chapters
yeah,
differently. Um, so I know your story. I don't know anything behind you coming to ORU,
yeah,
getting involved in Victory, but maybe you want to let us in on that journey of
yeah.
like church and leading worship
Absolutely.
first. Yeah.
So I mean, here we are. I mean, this is the church where I grew up at, and I started leading worship. Well, I mean, I started singing at a very young age, like for as
Yeah.
long as I can remember. Like our family is very musical. There's
Mhm.
just always music in our home, and our dad, my sister's here, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna say what's up.
Live studio audience.
Yeah. Our dad he was like in the choir at the church that we grew up at. And so he used to just like take us to choir practice and we would just
Yeah.
like run around like in the background, like just like, messing around doing kid stuff while
Yeah.
he was doing choir practice. But one day, I think my sister was the first one. She like decided to just like join the choir, like and like start singing with them. And then me, I was like, well, if you're doing it, like I'm gonna do it too. And like I don't think you guys understand the visual. It was an all adult choir and then like two little like toddlers like singing in the choir. Like it was like,
Yeah, we're going hard.
yeah, it was like and like it was just like became a thing. Like we were like the kids in the choir,
Yeah.
And then like we would sing like solos with our dad and stuff like that. So I started singing in church at a very, very young age.
Hmm.
And the church that I was attending at that time was like a very tiny, like African Baptist, like literally the name of the church was African Baptist Church. It was like all African people, and it was like a Baptist church.
Mm.
We sang hymns and stuff like that. It was like a very more traditional church.
Yeah.
Then when I was like, I don't know, like 10 or 11, we started going to this church, which is more like non-denominational, and we quickly got plugged into the worship,
Yeah.
just singing. And when I first got started, I actually joined the band as like a background vocalist and a keys player. I was a keys player, really, which is
Wow,
wild.
I don't think I've
I
ever seen you play keys. Really.
which is funny. Like that was like my thing. Like I loved playing keys. Like that was like my journey into
Yeah.
worship. But I don't know. My youth pastor at the time just like saw something in me. Like I don't really know what it was, but he just started like kind of like pushing me to the front,
Yeah.
and like giving me more opportunities to lead. And
This is like teenager Timmy.
not even, I was
Yeah.
like 11, like 12, dude,
Dang, dude.
like young.
Yeah.
And he just started giving me opportunities to lead. And as I got older, I just like was just like leading more. He actually bought me a guitar. Like I showed up to church one day and he was like, "Hey, here's a guitar for you." Like
You
bought
didn't
me
play
like
guitar yet.
I not really. I had just picked up the electric. I got an electric guitar for my 14th birthday. Like I begged for it. I was like, I want a guitar, and I wasn't a kid who asked for much. So like
When
my-
when the
yeah.
one thing came up, you were
exactly,
like,
my dad was like, "All right, like let's make it
Yeah.
happen." So literally on my 14th birthday, like my dad came home from work with that guitar, and I still have that guitar somewhere. And so yeah, and then after I got that guitar and started playing, like I taught myself how to play, and then my youth pastor got me this acoustic and was like, "All right,
But
here,
what
this is for
was
you."
your worship like music influences back then? Because mine was like Hillsong.
Yeah, that's what we were doing here. A lot of Hillsong, like Planet Shakers.
Yeah.
Mainly those two off the top of my head.
I don't know that Bethel or
Yeah.
Elevation was like big yet, at least for me.
Yeah, kind of not super big. I mean, we were also like, so my church that I grew up in, like, kind of had like Pentecostal background.
Mhm.
So we were doing some like gospel, but like not like super like gospel, not like Fred Hammond. It was like Israel
Yeah,
type
like
stuff.
CCM
Yeah,
gospel
like,
meet in
yeah.
the middle kind of vibe.
Yeah, for sure. So we did that, and that's just kind of where I started. So at 12, I was like leading worship every Sunday, and then dude, at 14, that's when I started leading worship for our adults. At 14 years old, we used to do like a back to school service every year, and the youth would take over. So the first year we did it, I was like 13. I didn't really like lead or anything. I was just kind of background. I think I played keys for one song and like did background vocals for another song. But then like that next year we had camp, and like that year at camp, this is literally 2011, like was when like I really encountered God for like the first time. And that moment was just like so crazy and like intense, and like I don't know, it was like in that like kind of as like the presence of God was like falling on me or whatever,
For
like
sure.
I like spoke and like kind of gave like an exhortation, and it was like this marking moment of like, oh,
Like,
like
yeah,
this
it's
guy
different.
is
Yeah.
got it, you know what I mean? And from that moment on, I just started like leading like like stronger. So when we had that back to school service, I led like
Mhm.
a couple songs and like led like I guess good enough to where the worship leader for the main service at the adult service
Was
was
like,
like, we want you on the weekends.
yeah,
So I started leading worship for our adults at 14 years old, and I
that's
did that
great.
every Sunday until you know
Until,
until I moved to Tulsa, and then kept
yeah,
doing it there as well.
yeah,
So I mean, like I remember having a conversation with someone at Victory when I was like 18 when I first started leading there, and he was
yeah.
like, "Dude, you're so like seasoned
How young
for
you
how
are.
young you are. Like you're
Yeah.
18 years old, like leading thousands of people in worship and like doing it
Confidently.
well."
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, "How is this like what's?" And I'm like, "Dude, I've been doing this for like at that point I'd already been doing it for 4 years. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like leading adults. It wasn't just and doing youth and doing like." Other events and
Yeah.
stuff, like around school and stuff like that. So, yeah, man, that's kind of like the journey of like how I got to ORU. I mean, I chose to go to ORU
Yeah.
because of it was between ORU and Houston Baptist University.
Mhm.
I wanted to go to Houston for a long time because we had like some people that we were connected with down there, and I wanted to kind of be a part of what was going on there. But I chose ORU because I just felt like I was going to be spiritually formed there. Like
Yeah.
Houston Baptist is a good school, but I just didn't think that it was going to give me the spiritual formation that I needed.
Yeah.
And then when I did my research into ORU, it just looked like it was going to be
More of a
yeah,
spiritual form. Yeah.
very spiritual. And when I remember my freshman year there, like I just knew that I had made the right
For
decision,
sure.
But yeah,
Um,
that's kind of like how I got to Tulsa
yeah.
and Victory and all that fun stuff.
That's fun, bro.
Yeah.
As you were breaking that down, I kind of got this memory of like, because when I was coming up, I as soon as I felt like I was a little bit of a late bloomer. I started singing when I was like 17,
Yeah.
18. I was playing bass only 13 to 17. That's like that was my
So
whole
you
spiel.
do play bass.
Yes, but that was, but I hadn't played in like years
Yeah,
when we
yeah,
linked up.
yeah.
But that was like my thing. I went to
Right.
music school for it. Like if anyone needed me on a worship set, it's to play bass.
Wow.
That was it. So
Yeah.
dude, literally one day to the next, when I was 16, 17, I was like, I feel like I need to sing.
Yeah.
But what's funny is that like the church you grew up in,
Mhm.
church also grew up like small Hispanic church. There wasn't like this structure of like there's kids worship, there's
Right.
youth worship, there's
Right.
young adults, and it's just if you sing, you're running the main service.
Yeah.
That's it. So I didn't think of that, and I had this conversation with my friend John recently, but I don't know I don't know how it is here, but at least what I've observed, I feel like there's this generation of like our age worship leaders,
Yeah.
but I don't see the same. I don't know if we've done a bad job of handing it off to the younger kids,
Mhm.
but I don't see another 14-year-old Timmy coming around. It's always like, okay,
Right.
well we'll get them when they're 21 and they've
Right.
done 1,000 youth service, but I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
And I led a youth team, and I try to be better about it. So I don't know if we were just built different to where
Right.
maybe we had that extra gear that helped us jump.
Yeah.
But I don't know what your mind is on that. That's just an observation I had while you were talking. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I feel like I've noticed that as well. I mean, even like I can't really speak to everyone's experience. Even when we were growing up, I felt like there weren't a lot of us.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't super common.
Like
to
you were, you could probably empathize with me, but like
Yeah.
because you were like the music dude when
Right.
you were young. Like
Yeah.
me. I had another friend Jeremiah. Like we were like the duo, the young
Yeah.
guys that were like coming up.
Yeah.
But I just haven't seen that, bro.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting thing. Again, I can't really. I'm not super.
It's not like has an answer. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not super involved in like youth ministry anymore. So like
Mhm.
I don't really know like I can't give you like a heartbeat of like
Mhm.
what's the zeitgeist of youth ministry
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now. Like I don't like I couldn't tell you like, but I do feel like even here like we don't have a youth band right now. And like that kind of breaks my heart, dude. Like when I think about that, even like the church that I was working at, the last church that I worked at, the youth band was
Non-existent.
non-existent. It was
Yeah.
like maybe 3 or 4 kids and like mainly singers, like not a lot of musicians, you
Mhm.
know. I feel like a lot of kids don't play instruments these days. It's like one thing.
Yeah,
That's like a
I
big
don't.
thing. Like
What
all
is
kids want
that,
to be
man?
DJs now. Like kids don't get guitars anymore. They get laptops, you
Mhm.
know. So it's like they're like making beats and stuff. Yeah. So it's like it's just a
Maybe, bro.
different
Maybe
generation,
that's.
you know.
I mean, I could be premature and just like maybe that's the direction stuff's going. Like everything just freaking
Electronic worship.
tracks.
Yeah.
Nah. Now, so bringing the conversation back. So one thing I did feel like you could bring a lot of value to
Yeah.
that you have done for me
Mhm.
was that you were the first like person that it had a little bit of a shock factor with me. We were talking about church and some insecurities I had.
Yeah.
You're like, no, bro, I'm good at what I do. I know I'm, and I was like, what?
Hmm.
Like I don't know why at church, like I was brought up like, and it is true that it is a huge honor for me to do this, and it was like I'm begging for this
Right.
opportunity, but when you said that, it shifted my mind of like, no, like they're also blessed to have me here.
Right. Right.
And just because of that doesn't mean that they could stomp all over my boundaries and my limits and
Absolutely.
my mental health and stuff like that. So like when you said that of like, no, I'm him.
Hmm.
I think that you could speak into like a healthy balance of like, don't let church just kind of pummel
Yeah.
your standards or your like yourself, you know?
Yeah. I think it's important to understand your giftings
Hmm.
and understand that um the stage has a validating factor to it,
Hmm.
which is why I think some people want the stage so badly,
Hmm.
is because if they're on a stage, my gift is now validated.
Yeah.
Now, I think some people take that to an extreme and now aim for a stage for the purpose of validation. But I think every worship leader needs to know, if you have a microphone in your hands, you're good.
Yeah.
At least good enough for where you're at,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean? So I think that just should alleviate some pressure already.
Yeah.
And I
Like the
think,
fact that you made it here, like there's levels
yeah,
of this. Yeah.
there's levels, man. And so now it's like, okay, now that I'm here, what am I doing? What am I
Mhm.
doing with this platform? What am I doing with this opportunity that I've been given?
Yeah.
Am I going to just come up here and just sing the song exactly like the recording and just,
Yeah.
you know, trying to fit in this box? Or am I going to lead?
Show up.
Am I going to minister? Am I
Yeah.
going to, you know, do war? Like, to me, worship is like warfare. And,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? That's kind of cliche, but like,
For
am I
real.
going to go to battle on behalf of these people that I have in front of me? Because I have a responsibility to these people.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a game. Like, I'm
Mhm.
here to stand in the gap. I'm here to facilitate an environment for people with real issues to encounter a real God.
Yeah.
And I think when you think about the purpose of why you're even on the stage in general, all the other stuff fades away, man. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's not about me.
Yeah.
You know, I've been given this opportunity to now do something with it. And I think the more that you do things, the more that you lead, and the more that people respond, and the more that you see a response to the way you lead,
Yeah.
I think it develops a confidence in you to where you're like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm good at this. I do hear from the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, it's like, people ask me all the time, like, I would get these questions on like, oh, how did you know to go into that song? Like, how did you know to go into this song? It's like, I didn't. I felt it. I
Yeah.
went and people responded.
Yeah. So it was the Holy Spirit.
You know what I mean?
Pulling
Like,
it, yeah.
if I did it and nothing happened, then I know that's me.
Yeah.
But if I like go into this song and like something shifts,
Mhm.
okay, like
That's true.
then
That's
I
right.
was supposed to do
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? And then obviously there's like submission and all this stuff. Like, you know, if your pastor's like stop and you keep going, then you got an issue.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? But like if I'm in a space where I've been given free reign to just minister,
Mhm.
and you know things like that happen and people respond, then okay, I like.
Yeah.
There's some merit to this, you know.
sure.
So I feel like that's a really long answer, and we're gonna have a lot of those, bro.
No,
I talk a lot.
it's all good, bro.
But I feel like back to your question of just like,
Like knowing I'm him.
yeah,
Bring-
no,
like,
yeah, knowing I'm him. I hate saying that, but just like the confidence of like,
No, confidence of
yeah,
the value that you bring.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. Just like, you know, I've been doing this a long time. Like I know I'm a good worship leader, you know, but
Yeah.
like it's not about being a good worship leader. You
Yeah.
know, what does it even mean to be a good worship leader?
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, There's a lot of people to answer that question a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
But I, another thing that I did want to hit is that you've served at church in every single capacity possible. You've been a staff member, you've been a volunteer, you've been a contractor, stuff like that. And we were having this conversation earlier where I was like, um, I think there's a lot of I don't know if maybe this is like my head,
Hmm.
but I've been in a place where I've thought, okay, well, if I want to be at a church that I love,
Yeah.
that has talented people, I have to sacrifice on my behalf and not get paid to do
Mm.
this in order to be part of something that I'm actually sold out to, or do I get paid and sacrifice my preference
Mm.
and go somewhere that I would have to build it from the ground up, and maybe
Right.
they don't have as much talent or stage design, or like
Right.
I would have to be the one like building it, and not necessarily that any preference is wrong,
Right.
but I don't know what you would speak to someone that's maybe in that predicament right now. Maybe even just me
Yeah.
selfishly. Yeah.
I think you have to understand, like, I think the one thing you have to understand is the like the law of compensation,
Mhm.
like the way compensation works. Like your compensation is usually going to be, uh, it's going to be like I don't know why I'm blanking on this word that I'm trying to think of, but it's going to be proportionate to the amount of work that you're doing, right?
Mhm.
So at a place like at like let's say you're at a smaller church that's building something from the ground up,
Yeah.
that's going to take a lot of work.
Yeah. Extra communication, extra
Like a
organization,
lot
extra
of
execution.
work.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a lot of work. And so, yeah, you might get paid a little bit more because and it may not look you may not be as busy as you would at like a larger church where you have a ton of events, but just that work of like getting to know the people,
Mhm.
because that's really what it's about at the end of the day is the relationships that you build. That work of like I don't know. Like you're gonna have to probably if you want to do crazy lights and do like visuals on your LED wall, you're making that mug.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not like you have
Like
a creative team that you can
exactly.
walk to
No,
the office of like, hey, can
you're
you?
the creative team, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's your job. So like yeah, you're gonna get paid a little bit more because you're gonna have to do a
Do-
lot more.
That's true.
But then you go to like a larger church where like, dude, when I was at Victory, bro, my job on a Sunday morning was show up. My in-ears were ready for me. My mic was ready for me. Here you go, Timmy. Get on stage, do my thing, put my stuff down, and go home.
Yeah. That's true.
There's an AV team set in place. There's a tech. You know what I mean? I'm
Someone
not
made the
thinking.
tracks. Yeah.
Absolutely, someone else made the visuals.
That's some
Someone
good
else is doing the
perspective.
lights. Someone else is doing all these other things that I care about.
Mhm.
That I have maybe some influence in. Like maybe I have an opportunity to speak into what's happening.
That's
But at the end of the day, I'm not the one pressing the button. You know what I mean? I'm not the one inside
Yeah.
After Effects making the visuals.
freaking good.
Someone else is who's way better than me at it.
Mhm.
And they're paying him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're paying this guy and they're paying that guy and they're paying so many more people to do the same outcome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, you're gonna get paid a little bit less because you're not doing as much.
Mhm.
Now you also have to understand if it's a larger ministry, there's also a demand thing. There's going to be the size of the ministry is going to attract certain people,
Mhm.
and there are going to be people who will do it simply because,
Of
like,
the
bro,
size
if
of it,
Elevation
yeah.
calls you right now
For
and says,
free,
"Bro,
immediately.
come lead worship, come be on an album. We can't pay you, but come through. You got to pay your way there, pay for a hotel, pay for
Yeah.
your food.
Immediately, yeah.
You're there, bro.
Mhm.
Say less.
Yeah.
Say less. Why?
The
Because
opportunity, yeah.
it's the opportunity. You know that you're going to be in front of a bunch of people, and it might open to other doors for you.
Yeah.
With a lot of these churches, it's the same thing. You're on a massive platform in front of thousands of people. They know that, okay, I got to pay you. Get out of here, bro. This kid will do it for free.
Yeah. That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
So I think I think it's, at the end of the day, it comes down to like, it really isn't about the money at all.
Yeah.
It's where you call to
Yeah.
and like, does this church line up with my values? Like, does it line up with my theology? Like, am I called to be here? One,
Yeah.
and two, am I valued?
Yeah. That's good.
That is the big thing for me. Is I remember one of my mentors told me this, and I tell this to everyone when they're like, "Oh, I'm looking for a job. I can't decide between these two." Go where you're valued. Go where you're valued.
That's a good word. Yeah, man.
And value is way more than just money.
Yeah.
Compensation is more than just money.
Yeah.
You know, go where you're
So-
valued.
So, bro, so what the conclusion I've got to is because I think there was like a teeny little window where I was like, well, I know I'm a worship leader that's of the caliber of worth of getting compensated.
Right.
And so when I wasn't, it was like, well, do you value me? But I think in its most simple form, I realized that the gift that I was given, now I have a responsibility to serve my community. And so where is my community? Where do I feel valued? Where do I feel loved just for being Jacob, not
Yeah.
for being the singer
The
or something?
singer. Yeah.
So the church I'm at now, like it's not like I get compensated really, but it's healing because I actually want to be there.
Right.
And I actually want to sing with these people.
Yeah.
And they know what I've been through and they like I rock with them, bro. And
Right.
the preaching is sound and I could stand by this confidently and say this is where
This is my place.
This is my place right now.
Yeah, that's how I feel
So,
about this place, man.
yeah.
Like I don't. I mean, they pay me a little bit to do worship here, but it's not anything that is like
It's,
going to
it's
change
not
my
like,
life.
it's not like
you know
you're
what I
gonna
mean?
make a living.
Yeah,
off
exactly.
Of it, yeah.
I definitely can't make a living off. It's gas money. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, if that. So, and I'm grateful. I'm not. I don't want to sound like I'm grateful for it, but it's like my new philosophy as coming from someone who's like I've done the thing where I've worked at a church for a check, you know, and it crushed my soul.
Yeah, you were telling me it's too.
It's too expensive. It's too expensive. You know what I mean? Like if working at a church that pays you a lot of money is at the cost of your
Soul.
your soul, it's too expensive.
Okay, not in a sell your soul kind of bad way, but more of like
Yeah.
it takes your time, your emotions,
Yeah,
your
it's just like-
relationships, like everything important to you essentially.
I like when I think about how I grew up, bro. I spent a lot of time in church. So I spent so much time in church, and I say this all the time. I spent so much time in church that my Nigerian parents, if you know anything about Nigerians, they love the Lord, bro. My God-fearing Nigerian parents were like, Timmy, chill.
Like you were
Chill.
sleeping there.
That's how much time I spent at church. Dude, I loved church growing up. I loved church. And it's like I did so much for free.
Yeah.
I was running around DFW doing worship and stuff for free, for the free. Didn't even think about money. And it's like to go from that to now I'm here for a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
There's a disconnect there, bro. How do you go from doing something out of the goodness of your heart and just for free? And then when I did get paid, like here's the trajectory, right? I was doing it for free. Was at a church where I would have been for free, but they paid me, so I was grateful because I was like, "Yo, I would be here for free, but y'all see my value, and now you're giving me a check, you know, to keep me around, so it's worth my time to be here so much." I was grateful for that. Again, it wasn't much, but I was grateful because, like, hey, I love this ministry. I want to be
you didn't
here.
expect it,
I didn't expect it to be paid at all. I would have done all the things that they had me doing. I would have done for free.
Yeah.
You know, but then now I'm somewhere where I probably wouldn't be here on my own, but I'm here because I'm getting a check. And you've painted a picture of what this place could be, and now you've sold me something that doesn't actually exist.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, you can build it. Here's however
resources
many, here's the resources to make this happen.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're a builder and that excites you, fine. But now it's like, oh,
that's a lot of work.
that's a lot of work. And like, I actually would never attend this church, you know, on my own.
That was another point that you gave me too. You're like, if you get an offer to work somewhere, like don't take it if you wouldn't go there already.
That's my new philosophy with the church. And that's like people ask me a lot, like, would you, like, are you, I don't know. I don't know why I give off the vibe that like I don't want to do church stuff anymore. That's definitely not true. Like I would still definitely work at a church. But like my new philosophy is like, if I wouldn't attend this church how it is right now, if I wouldn't sit in those pews and just attend, I have no business.
All right, brother. We're reaching the halfway point of the pod. We're going to do the social media deep dive.
Oh, wow.
So speaking of, I have 2 pictures from your Instagram.
Sick.
Your Instagram goes through a lot of reconstruction.
It changes all the time. Someone needs to like take my phone away, or like I need to give my access to Instagram to someone else.
Sometimes you'll have one post on there.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you'll like have a little beautiful little 9 square.
Mm-hmm.
Right now it was one of those 9 square moments.
Yeah.
So I have 2 pictures. This is the first one. And then you just tell us a deeper story behind the...
Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
What's going on here?
Dude, that was got the opportunity, me and my boy Weston, to DJ a youth event at Kane's Ballroom
Like for church?
Yeah, it was a church. It was a church thing. I think it was Youth Fest. It was like one of the ones they did, but it was super sick. It was like at the end of the night, and we just did like a DJ set, and it was like super sick.
Just beats and
Yeah, dude, like DJing and like an auditorium, whatever it's called, full of kids, just like super energetic. And I think we had at one point we had like Brandon Benjamin come out and like play drums with us. And
who
like,
took that shot?
one of the many photographers that were there last night. I can't remember who specifically shot that shot, but that's one of my favorites for sure. That was a really fun experience, and I think the best part about that was getting to do it with my boy Weston. Like that was super fun. Yeah, that's my boy.
Bro, this picture, like if I zoom in, I feel like people are looking the other way.
Really?
Yeah. But,
oh yes, you are right about that. So that was at Legendary Conference, which is a youth conference here in Dallas, and there was like the stage, and then they had like a catwalk up to like another like platform like on top, but like so like it's like a auditorium, but they have like bleacher seating. So this little ramp like went up to like the top of the bleachers. So you have all the kids down up front, but then you also have like all the kids on the bleachers. And then, so this platform was like literally like in the center of the bleachers. So I like, it was like during a fast song. Up. Yeah. So I like ran up to this like top of the bleacher and like was like going crazy up there. And they snapped that photo from me. Like,
so that's why the kids, like you were going up and the kids in the
yeah. So that's why the kids in the back look like they're facing, because they're facing the stage. But like, then there's a bunch of kids on like,
I was like, what's this
on
guy
the bleacher. Yeah. It does like, it is super confusing if you like look at it hard. But yeah, that was a really fun moment. There's like, I think I did it at the conference for like 3 years. So it was like 3 years in a row that they brought me out, which is awesome. It's a great church, great ministry.
Bro, so back half of the pod, we can talk about what's going on in your life in a more present time. So we were having this conversation earlier. We basically had 3 episodes today, but we just didn't have the mic on.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about how your perspective on musicians that are like struggling with this like doing music outside of church.
Yeah.
And then balancing like the worship scene, because you kind of had that a little bit, like making music that's like not necessarily like worship music, but it's not like it's bad. It's just balancing both artistry and worship leading.
Yeah, I think for me, like as much as I've been a worship leader for a very long time, and I can only speak for me in this instance. I think I got to give you guys context on myself before I can really talk about other people, because I feel like it just depends on who you are.
Yeah.
For me, I've been a worship leader for a long time, but I've also been a performer for a long time. So I did a lot of like, I'm going to call it theater. It wasn't really theater, but I was in like choir and stuff in like middle school and high school. And I mean, we're not singing worship songs and you know what I mean? So like I learned how to perform, right? And all through like college, like I was in a band in college that we were doing like secular music, and like we were pretty good. Like I would say that like for me in my life, the response that I've gotten leading worship has been the same when I was just performing, in the sense that like, people aren't getting saved when I'm performing, but they enjoy seeing me perform. People enjoy watching me on stage. So for me, I think while I'm grateful for that, it made it confusing, because it was like, it'd be easy to just do worship music if I sucked at everything else. You know what I mean? And that makes me sound like such a whatever. No. But I'm a good performer. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm just as good at the secular stuff, and I hate that word secular, but I feel like I'm just as good at the non-Christian stuff as I am with the Christian stuff. So if you're someone who has an interest in doing both, like worship and like being an entertainer, I think the first question you have to ask yourself is like, what do people respond to?
Yeah.
I think you have to be really objective with yourself, which is difficult. It's hard to be objective, but you have to genuinely ask yourself, what do people respond to?
Yeah.
Would I say that people respond just as much to my secular stuff as they do the Christian stuff? Maybe not. But most of my audience right now is Christian. So of course they're going to respond more to that.
Yeah.
But I will say that the feedback that I've gotten from people who are outside of the church world who've listened to my music has also been positive,
Yeah.
you know? So I think that I've been graced to do both.
Mhm.
That's not the same for
Yeah,
everyone.
like I'm one of those where I've never even tried
Right.
to go the other route. I've never been like an entertainer or performer, just always just straight up sang at church.
Right.
And then if I do make music that's not like under the church, it's worship
Right.
based.
Right.
You could sing it at church essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But,
I'm
I
one
mean,
of those, yeah.
Even the conversation that we're having today, like earlier, like I decided recently that, okay, if I'm going to make secular music, if I'm going to make music that isn't worship music, it can't contradict what I'm doing in the church.
Your beliefs. Yeah.
Yeah, it can't, it cannot. I don't want people to look at the Timmy project and the Arisa project and be like, who are these people?
Mhm.
I want there to still be a sense of like,
Cohesive.
yeah. And for me, it's like the Arisa project is like an art project.
Mhm.
It's not even like, I'm not trying to be like a pop star. Like
Yeah.
I'm just expressing myself, and expressing myself is even not, I would even say that I'm just sharing the things that I make in like a moment.
Yeah.
Like people have different hobbies. People play video games, people do sports, but I make music.
Yeah.
Like I go home and I open my laptop and I open Ableton and I make music. That's like it's like a pastime for me.
Quick plug, Arisa.
You know what I mean?
Spotify.
So it's like, so for me, I make these beats or whatever, these songs, and most of it is just like stream of consciousness. It's just like what is coming out in that moment.
Yeah.
And it just happens to like not suck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, for me, it's like I make these things, I like it, and it's like I listen to it over and over and over, just in the car or whatever.
Yeah.
Why not share it with other people?
Yeah.
Like maybe other people might like it too.
For people
you know?
who haven't heard your music, you were talking about like invoking an emotion,
Yeah.
essentially, because like with worship music and like outside music,
Yeah,
essentially people come to feel something.
for sure.
So how, like, if you guys go listen to Timmy's music, it's not like typical song structure. Like you
Yeah.
have a song that I'm upset that cuts off like right, like
Yeah.
it feels like it should end like longer, but it doesn't. It just cuts off like halfway.
Yeah,
You're like, that's all that came out.
that's it.
That's the verse, and then one was like it was like a hook.
Yeah,
One verse, hook one more time, a minute 30
Done.
seconds, done.
Yeah,
out.
done.
So, I mean, but I love your mindset on it. It's not like you're trying to write a hit that's gonna be on the charts, but it's good. Like, bro, it has thousands of streams because people are running it back. But
yeah,
it's not traditional. You're just trying to invoke
yeah.
emotion.
I'm just trying to make people feel something, you
Mhm.
know. And I think if we're on, like, I hate saying this, and like it's gonna make me sound like I don't love God or believe in God, but like we're kind of doing the same thing in church, like
Yeah.
with the lights and everything. Like we're trying to make people
Make
feel,
a moment.
make
yeah.
a moment, you know. And it's like, for me, like if there's anything I'm good at, it's creating spaces.
Mhm.
For me, when I lead worship, when I'm doing anything church related, my mindset is, how do I create a space where people can encounter God?
Mhm.
That is church for me. How do I create a space where people can encounter God? I take that same mindset to my creativity when I make music, when I do shows and things like that. Is how can I make people feel something?
Yeah.
And it will be fun. Like we'll have fun. Like I have some upbeat songs that we can dance to. Like we'll
Yeah.
dance, we'll have a good time. But there will be a moment where you feel something. And I played a show. The last show I played was in January in LA. And the one feedback that I got from the majority of the people that were in the crowd was that it was emotional. They felt something.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a win. That is art. That's what people remember. Like this TikTok crap where you hear a song for 10 seconds, it's stuck in your head and it's over. Like that stuff is here today, gone tomorrow.
Mhm.
And whatever. Make the song for virality. Go for it. But I feel like I make music that sticks with people because they have an emotional connection to it, and that is what I'm trying to do. Is I want you to hear my music and it remind you of whatever,
Yeah.
whatever you can ascribe your own meaning to it. But if you listen to it something and it does something to you, then I did my job.
Yeah,
You
AI generated your album art.
Yeah. Two album arts, two album covers that
I
are
thought it
AI
was
generated.
just another disappointment. Was another one too?
Aren't you bored of me? That
Also?
one is also AI generated as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
The
Shout
graphic
out
designer,
AI. Yeah, AI is my creative director.
creative
One
director.
of many.
Bro, closing comments, stuff that you're excited about right now, stuff for the future, and then after that, plug your music, plug your socials, where people can find you, all that stuff. But what you excited about right now?
I'm excited for life, man. I'm just
Mhm.
excited to just continue growing
Get
in
back
my
home in your home
yeah.
church.
Yeah, just continue growing in my artistry, continue growing in my faith, continue growing, mentally, spiritually, physically, all those things,
Yeah,
I think I'm just grateful to be alive.
yeah,
It's been a wild few years, and like there were some moments that got pretty dark. So I'm
yeah.
I'm grateful to be alive. But if you want to follow me, just at Timmy Arisa on all social media, just TimmyArisa on everything, just Timmy Arisa. And then my artist project is Arisa, just all caps ARISA. You'll see me, just my face. And yeah, I've got a few songs out.
Not the case.
Yeah.
Run it back.
Yeah, I got a few songs out and there's more on the way. So I'm in the studio right now working on some new stuff with some producers, and I'm really excited about it. And hopefully you'll hear some stuff soon.
We're collabing on something.
Bro, let's go. Let's
do
go.
it.
Let's run it, bro. Let's run it.
Man, I love you, dude. Thanks
I
for
love you,
making
man.
time for this, for real.
Dude, thank you for having me on. For real. Like I said earlier, like you're one of my favorite people. Like I love you for real. And I'm proud of what you're doing on this podcast. So thank you for letting me be a part.
You're doing it.
Yes, sir.
Let's run it back.
Yes, sir.
I'll see you next time, brother.
Yes, sir.
Tell me who you know that brings hope to the things that were hopeless. Master to the pieces that's broken.